You're listening to Three's a Crowd, the North East Footy Podcast, with Rye for Borough, Steve for Newcastle United, and Ted for Sunderland.
1, 2...
Again.
Again. And what's he like, man? What's he like? Yeah, you mean...
Oh, your internet. Your internet's a nightmare as well, mate. We could be down to
morning, good afternoon, good
here.
evening, wherever you're watching from. Good afternoon, good morning.
Yes, we are literally down to one now. We are down to one. His internet is an absolute nightmare. I'm not sure what we can do yet, to be honest, when we're down to one. I tell you what I'll do. I do have adverts for NUFC matters, which I'll play for now, and hopefully Ted can get his internet signal sorted and we can come back.
A big thanks to all our sponsors, Skips and Bins. You can find them at their website, skipsandbins.com, or contact them, www.skipsandbins.com/contact. Say hello to low-cost waste disposal with pay-as-you-go and contract waste management. A big thanks to United Group Travel, our fanzine sponsor. There are no strangers on our tours, just friends you haven't met yet. 2-crew driver and courier, local family company, 3-star plus quality hotels and no interchanges. Hot and cold snacks and drinks available on the coach. All excursions included. Their website, www.unitedgrouptravel.com. Email beverly.ugtl@gmail.com or telephone 01670 632 460 or mobile 0791 666 4174. Deposits from £50 per person. A big thanks to Media Arts. Their website, www.media-arts.co.uk. Email info@media-arts.co.uk or telephone 0191 637 5061. If you want to help support the channel, then you can click the subscribe button. We still do 7 shows a week. It is free. Hit the thumb up to like the video and click share to share to your social media. A big thanks to Sports Social Podcast Network. You can listen to us on the road, on this network, or by tuning into iTunes, Spotify, or other podcast providers.
Okay, here we go. He's back.
I put 50 cents in the meter.
Yeah, I couldn't hear a word you were saying. You were talking Chinese, and welcome to the show. There's only 2 of us.
That's how my missus feels every day.
Yeah, Rye's got an issue at home, sadly. His missus isn't too well, and he's got the bairns to look after. So, it's just the 2 of us this morning. 45-minute show. Good morning, Ted.
Good morning, mate. Good morning. Yeah, nice to confirm he's not out spying on anyone. He's it is a legit family issue. Well, I mean, where else do we start? I know we've got games to discuss. You know, obviously, I think the rumor is now Eddie Howe's been banned from walking dogs because he can't hold on to a lead. But a result down at the City Ground, mate, and there had been in some seriously good form Nottingham Forest. So, and then obviously we a little bit disappointed to come out of a 0-0 draw with Man United, if truth be told. But obviously, as you know, Steve, when Bruno Fernandes is the referee of the game, you're always facing a bit of an uphill struggle. But we can talk about our games later on. I think we've got to start with Spygate, mate, because it's a story that seems to be gripping the whole nation of football now. And my take on it, mate, I mean, something has to be done. It's no 2 ways about it. I think it's certainly clear that it was a member of the Southampton team. That's been all but confirmed. Southampton have pretty much said, yes, it has happened, but give us more time. We want to investigate it internally. For me, mate, if they're guilty of it, they're guilty of it, and they have to get kicked out. And I just hope that the EFL has the balls to do this, because they've been very heavily criticised in recent years. They're kind of a bit of a powder puff approach compared to the powerhouse that is the Premier League and all that, unless you're Man City. But for me, it should be a clear case of them being thrown out. If there's more cases to answer, which certainly seems to be the view on the internet, that there's another 2 or 3 clubs who've searched their CCTV and confirmed that they're seeking advice on how to proceed with it as well. For me, mate, it's a clear case that there should be docked points for next season. However many instances they are found guilty, knock 3 points off them. Or is that too much of a simplistic view, do you reckon?
No, I mean, I genuinely think they should be booted out. I don't think the playoff game should have been played. I don't know what on earth the situation is with the EFL. What were they thinking of? The spying accusation had been levelled before the games, so the game should have been stopped. Problem you've got now is we boot Southampton out. We've got the hearing on Tuesday. You boot Southampton out. You've then got to find another game, another date for the playoff game, and it's literally impossible. It's not going to be at Wembley, you wouldn't have thought, because there's no game. There's no game time spare at Wembley. There's games coming up. There's friendlies coming up for England. There's gigs coming up. It's finding a date in the calendar, and it's more or less impossible for the EFL to do it. A fine isn't enough for spying, and if the rumours are true that Southampton haven't just done this with Middlesbrough, but they've done this with other clubs, and that Middlesbrough have got some proof, then that's fine. There was rumours flying around that Nick DeMarco was going to be the man who takes charge of the case. Of course, he was the man who helped Newcastle get the takeover through. So, Steve Gibson's not wasting time or money. He believes that he believes his football club is being wronged, and rightly so. And sending an intern, a young lad, to go and spy is wrong. It's cheating. That's it. It's as simple as that. And I think the Southampton manager's reaction tells you all you need to know. He knows he's being caught with his pants down. He's been caught out cheating, and it's wrong. And Southampton fans, I feel sorry for, because it's not their fault. There's people around the world who probably book tickets, flights, etc. for the playoff final. Now we're in limbo. They don't know what's going to go on. Southampton, obviously, they've got more important things on their mind, but should be, possibly getting themselves ready for some litigation that could come from the supporters. The supporters are probably wanting some kind of compensation as well, but it's not fair. It's always the football fan that suffers. This is the biggest game in football. They say financially, it's 120 to 150 million pound game. This, and now we're in a situation where the Saints fans could have the season to forget. The CCTV has been checked, Tom. It's all been proved. It's there. It's, the guy's paid on his credit card. He's, there's photographs of the kid, standing at the tree at Rockcliffe, looking and filming. It's there. And there's no need to have an investigation. Everybody knows what's gone on. It's whether, all we've got to wait for now is the punishment, and it's whether the punishment fits the crime. And that's what needs to happen. There needs to be, there is no other punishment. Sunderland benefited from this with Swindon, back in the very start of the playoffs. Sunderland weren't good to go up. Newcastle weren't good enough to go up. Swindon were. They should have gone up, but financial irregularities saw that Sunderland got the rewards, and that's there is a precedent. Yes, it was 1989-90, but that doesn't mean that you suddenly change the rules and make it a fine. I think Southampton should be bounced. I think they should, they should just have the playoff final stripped from them, and that should be it.
For me as well, so I mean, obviously, the fans will suffer, and all right, in the second leg of the playoff, there's the banter, if you want to call it that, where they're in the ghillie suits and giving it the binoculars and all that sort of thing. But there's a serious side to it that this could go horribly, horribly wrong for them. The other people as well, that I wonder how the players feel about this, Steve, because how far does the understanding from the players go that this is information that's being gleaned illegally, essentially? So, the tactics they're being told. For me, if you were a player for Southampton, would you feel a little bit put out here? Because if they're having to resort to that rather than the talent of their players, does that kind of speak volumes about there's a bit of they don't trust the players enough on their own without having to cheat?
I don't think the players are bothered. I mean, the celebrations included the binocular celebration. I don't think the players are that bothered. You know, they will be bothered when they're playing in the Championship next season, though. So, yeah it's you know, the manager's made his bed. He's got a lie in it here. And, you know, I guess the more recent case of spying, which involved Bielsa and Leeds, you know, that was laughed at, really, you know. And I mean, people were, you know, shaking their heads and, you know, shouldn't happen kind of thing. But this is serious. This is as serious as it gets, you know. And if, as I say, if there's been more than one case of spying this season, you know, that should be an open and shut case. If it was just the one game, you know, and they just gave a fine, maybe, you know, Middlesbrough wouldn't be happy and they would probably pursue it. But if they've got evidence that there's more, this isn't just one case. This is how much more have they done during the season that they've got away with. You know, it's wrong. It's wrong. It's cheating. It's bad sportsmanship, whatever you want to call it. It needs to be called out, but it needs to be punished. So yeah, I don't think the players are that bothered, but they will be bothered when, you know, if the suitable punishment is put on them. You know, that's a whole season down the drain because of this guy's, you know, because of this guy cheating.
Yeah. That's, just on that note as well, I mean, a comment that Jules has made there about Harwood Bellis, who didn't just produce the binocular celebration, but also mocked Luke Ayling's speech impediment as well. It's all in incredibly bad taste, and it's not doing the reputation. I always, like, you know, thought pretty highly of Southampton. They've turned out good youth players in the past, you know, a bit of a feeder club for Liverpool in the past as well, but, you know, produced quality players, you know, been stuck down there on the South Coast. They've always sort of, you know, punched a little bit above their weight. They've gone through bad times. They've just lost credibility for me, Steve. It's not good at all. It's not a good look. Now, something that David's just mentioned there as well about Borough aren't allowed to present their evidence to the independent inquiry. It's a very, very weird one. So Rye actually sent us the statement here, which I'm going to do my best to read because it's tiny and these glasses aren't all that strong. So I'm just going to read that. I want to get your reaction and the reaction in the comments as well, Steve. Middlesbrough FC notes the decision of the Disciplinary Commission not to permit the club to intervene in the proceedings brought by the EFL against Southampton FC. The club regrets that outcome, given we are directly affected by the matters under consideration and hold relevant factual evidence as to the events in question and their competitive impact. The conduct at issue, namely the observation and recording of our training session ahead of a fixture of such significance, goes to the heart of sporting integrity and fair competition. In these circumstances, the only appropriate response is a sporting sanction which would prevent Southampton FC from participating in the EFL Championship playoff final. We remain hopeful that the EFL, as regulator, will pursue such a sanction before the Disciplinary Commission in order to protect the integrity of the game, safeguard all member clubs, and deter any attempt in the future to obtain an unfair and unlawful advantage in pursuit of promotion to the Premier League. The club reserves all its legal rights. They're not happy, and I can completely see why. Middlesbrough not being allowed to present their own evidence to something that's affected them is just odd. It's just really strange, and I hope this is a case of the EFL kind of putting their big boy pants on, Steve, and kind of going, we'll deal with this and we'll deal with a full letter of the law, rather than just go, right, it's going to be too much hassle to change the fixture now. Let's just brush it under the carpet, and they might not even be in the EFL next season, so it won't be our problem.
Yeah, I mean,
with any rights to be that livid.
Yeah, of course they are, and I mean that is the way of looking at it. You know, that maybe the EFL, maybe we're predicting, you know, that they're going to go too late when in fact they've already made their mind up. But yeah, I mean, not allowing Middlesbrough to put any extra evidence in or give their account probably means that that they have made their mind up. And I've got to point to Davies, comment here. Coincidence, Southampton's excellent run came just as they hired, the intern to do what he did. It's just crazy. It's crazy that anybody would sacrifice, their, not only their reputation but that club season doing this. I just think it's. I didn't expect Borough season to finish like this. Although, I did feel that they were capable of getting automatic promotion at the start of the season. But this is such a sad end of the season, and the they've got to get it right, because if it does happen again, then they need to be able to come out and make the decision quicker. But yeah, strange scenario all round. It's going to be interesting to see how it pans out.
Tuesday, I think, is the preliminary date that everybody's been given for the hearing. God knows what happens from there, Steve, because the game's the week after that, isn't it?
Well, it might not be. Yeah, that's the problem. That's the problem I was talking about. It may not be. There's going to be a fixture congestion. They might not be able to get it done. Certainly not at Wembley.
Got to feel for Hull as well. I mean, the absolute joy of getting into the playoffs in the virtually the last couple of kicks of the regular season. Getting a good result against a strong Millwall side. Yeah, it just leaves them in a horrible limbo situation if they don't know who they're preparing to face. It's a really, really strange situation. But yeah, look forward to picking the bones out of that one. And when Rise on next week, you never know. They might be in a playoff final. We don't know. But on to us, mate. We'll go to Newcastle first. Obviously, a trip to the City Ground. Nottingham Forest have had a weird old season. They've had just as many managers as they've had games, to be honest. But they're sort of finding a bit of form again, mate. It was a tough game to go into. I thought Newcastle actually played very well, mate, if I'm being honest with you, especially first half. But again, it's that age-old problem, mate, of not being able to shut them out. What was your take on it?
Yeah, I mean, look, Newcastle went down there full of confidence after a win, and a good win against a European rival in Brighton. But Forest have put a good run together. I think as far as Forest were concerned, I think I'd said we'd never lost a Premier League game down there. We haven't lost down there since 1987. But it was a game which I felt was probably going to be a draw, and it was. I think the fact that we took the lead and again dropped another 2 points is just indicative of how the season's gone. That's just the way it is as far as Newcastle's this season. We haven't been able to hold on to a lead. We've lost 27 points now from winnable positions. And Elliot Anderson, who just had his mother's funeral, was probably always going to be the one who got the goal, and a good goal it was. Question marks over Eddie's team selection, but I think Eddie's chucked it. He doesn't want conference football. He wants to go back to basics. He wants to go back to training, for a full week and trying to get the best out of the players that he bought in last year's window, because his press conference yesterday was, very, very enlightening in the fact that he said, striker's not a priority in the transfer window. Has he been told he's got to get the best out of those £220 million players that are sitting on the bench currently behind William Asula? Maybe he has. So Lewis Hall playing right back had a lot of people scratching their head, and of course that's where the goal came from. He was on his wrong foot, Lewis Hall. So the slip, let Anderson in, and he finished, to get the equaliser. Look, we created chances last week. Bruno Guimaraes probably wasn't in the greatest of form, but troubled the keeper a couple of times. Great goal by Harvey Barnes again, and no Anthony Gordon, I guess, was the only other talking point of the match last week. Another wonderful calamitous save from Nick Pope to add to his show reel with a Billy Smart circus over the top of it. But it was a pretty non-event. It was a nothing game. Tomorrow against West Ham is a game against a team that's got to win to survive, and Newcastle's got nothing to play for. I don't know what will happen tomorrow. Will Anthony Gordon get a chance to say goodbye? Will Kieran Trippier get a chance to say goodbye? Will Emil Kraft, the club have just put out a very emotional video of Emil Kraft, who it's just been announced that he's leaving the club at the end of the season. I think we all knew he would, but it's now been officially confirmed with a wonderful video that's been put out by the club of him receiving some very emotional messages from players and family. Will he get a chance to? It's will Fabian Shaw, who's not going to play, get a chance to say, come on and say goodbye to the fans at the end. It's a huge summer. It's a huge summer, but we're not going to be signing strikers, according to Eddie Howe. So yeah, the game at City, 1-1 draw. It's what I expected. I didn't expect them to get 3 points. I didn't expect them to get beat. And it's just another tick in the box. 2 games to go. And, most Newcastle fans probably can't wait for the season to end.
Fair play, mate. And there must be part of you thinking like, "Oh, just roll over and let's send Spurs down."
No, not at all. And I think we covered this last night on the Amigos. I think we all feel anyone who feels like that's an absolute knacker. Anyone who wants to see Newcastle get beat, hang your head in shame and do one because it's really. I've been away all week, so I've never seen the social media. But Mitch was absolutely spitting feathers last night on the Amigos.
Really?
Dropping a few F-bombs last night at fans who were saying, the hope we got beat. I mean, who on earth wants to see their team get beat? It's bonkers. I get where people are coming from, but actually stick it out on social media and that. Yeah, if you're talking to your mates and saying, "Oh, I'd love to see Spurs go down," would you take a defeat to see them go down? But sticking it all over social media. There is a lot of knackers out there, but yeah, I want to see Newcastle hammer West Ham tomorrow. It's done now, and we won't send them down. West Ham have sent themselves down by being crap all season, So it's one of them. Spurs have come good at the last minute. They finally made the right appointment in De Zerbi, and he'll probably get them up the table next year. He's a good manager, De Zerbi. So yeah. I feel a bit sorry for West Ham. I've got some really good mates who support West Ham, and I hope they bounce back. But I also hope we can do a deal for Jim Bowen. I would like to see him at Newcastle.
That'd be super smashing and great, wouldn't it?
Would be, yeah.
You mentioned about the rebuild, Steve, and obviously, we've got our own kind of things that we got to look out for, and it all depends on, I guess, the vultures coming in to take the players away from us, from Sunderland, who's had good seasons. But just looking at Newcastle for the time being, you mentioned players leaving their trip. Yeah, obviously, you would hope that he gets on tomorrow to say goodbye. He's been a good servant, Newcastle United, and he's one of them. He's certainly is from an England perspective, especially. Consistency, consistent pro. Even when he has his moments, he's got a focused mentality, it seems, and they're difficult players to replace. You've mentioned Shaw. You've mentioned, essentially the back line is going to need reinventing. For me, Steve, and you touched on it again there about Eddie saying there's not going to be strikers brought in, unless there's anybody sold, but. Do you think Newcastle need to be nastier to play against next season and a bit more defensive solidity?
I mean, we definitely need to go back to basics. There's no doubt about it. I think that's what Eddie wants. I think that's why Eddie is. He'll never say that he hasn't tried to get into Europe, but he doesn't. I don't think he wants the distraction of it. He doesn't want the distraction of it. He wants from listening to his press conferences. That's what he's missed. He's missed training week after week after week, and that he feels will get the best out of the players that he signed. He's going to have to recruit. He's going to have to recruit defenders. That's Jamal Lascelles, Emil Kraft, potentially Fabian Shaw, and Kieran Trippier. You could lose 4. I think Shaw will get an extension. I think he might get a 1-year extension. I don't think they'll afford to let him go. If he's going to be coming back and he's going to be okay, then we'll probably keep a hold of him. But I think we'll keep a hold of Livramento. It doesn't look like he's going to go anywhere. I think we'll keep a hold of Hall, Dan Burn. You're going to have Botman. You're going to have Chow. So you definitely need a couple of additions in that back line, unless he's going to bring one of the youngsters through. Unless Alex Murphy's finally going to get an opportunity to play. Then you need a goalkeeper. Lots of rumours about goalkeepers this week. None of them substantiated, of course. So we'll wait and see what happens with that. And then, we're going to need probably a midfielder to replace Anthony Gordon, because that looks almost as if it's done. And you've got, then you've got your forward line. Is what happens up there. What's going to happen with Murphy? Is Tonali staying? What's happening up front? Is it if we lose a striker, will we gain a striker? It's there's lots of question marks. But yeah, getting back to basics, getting back to defensive basics, and the shithousery that we were famous for a season and a half under Eddie Howe. Yeah, maybe that does need to come back. But you're losing big influences in the dressing room. Trippier is gone and Lascelles is gone. They were hardcore part of that. That team. That team behind the scenes. So it is going to be interesting to see what happens. But it's a big summer. But yeah, I got to put my faith in Ross Wilson. It's a big summer for him.
Absolutely, mate. I did want to touch this. Davey's just he's actually just beat me to it. I saw some images of what appears to be a leaked home shirt for next season for Newcastle United, mate. I'm guaranteeing you've already seen the images of it as well. Apparently, yeah, that's it. You're supposed to stay away from Asda because apparently you'll scan yourself as a 70-inch TV. Is that right?
I mean, we knew this was coming, but I think we talked about this last year. I mean, it's not the first time that Adidas have used that design, and we said that's a knocking bet to be a Newcastle United strip at some point, and we've been proved correct. I wouldn't buy that. The lads are saying that I probably will. It'll grow on us, but I don't like it. I'm more of a traditionalist black and white stripe. The new away strip, of course, none of these have been confirmed yet, but the new away strip, I like it. That will be in my wardrobe. That's a
fantastic kit.
That is a thing of beauty. And of course, a few mock-ups have been flying around. The new training kit hasn't been confirmed, but somebody was on the beach at Tynemouth filming it this week, and that is definitely the new training kit. And that again is very, very smart. You've got an opportunity there for Newcastle fans to have another addition for the wardrobe. But yeah, we're probably going to use we will lose certain shirts because we've not been in Europe. We're not going to be like a legacy brand, but it's one of them things. We're still going to be plenty of choice for Newcastle fans. There will be a first, second, and third choice. There's talk of a pink top for the third choice this year, which I think a lot of fans are looking forward to seeing. But yeah, look, it's a barcode. That's what it is. It's more of a barcode than the original barcode top. Seller won't be on the front.
It's not the first time. Not the first time Newcastle have had something like that. I seem to remember. Was it when McEwen's were the shirt sponsor?
Yeah, and I mean, people didn't like that then, but Steve Hasty was talking about it last night. He had one on the other week, and people were saying, "Oh, it's a class top. That where did you get it?" So some people love it. Other people hate it. Tom Dixon loves that top. But I just don't like that black and white one. I'm more of a traditionalist. But the old blue Scotland top for me is definitely one for me. I really like it. So yeah. Look, we'll wait and see. If you like it, you buy it. If you hate it, you don't. Simple as that, really.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. I know Sunderland's had the same as well. I saw a couple of images just last night. It was too late to send you them, to be honest. But it looks like Hummel might be going back towards the old original kit with the red collar. I love a collar on a football shirt, mate. I love it. Absolutely love it. And back to a yellow away kit as well. Hopefully, fingers crossed if it all comes true. But yeah, we're coming towards the half time. Have we got
I've got a few. I haven't loaded. I've been away this week, and I haven't been on the internet. But I've got enough to make. I've got enough to make people tickle. So and Jules is in the chat. So if nothing else, we can get the cat out for Jules. Horrendous news in the election for Labour, of course, the local elections. So breaking news, Starmer reveals makeover ahead of his speech this morning in a desperate attempt to win back voters. And this was great. On the bed mattress outside someone's house. I've changed the locks, Gary. Take the bed to Laura's house, the slut. I'm divorcing you. I've told the kids what you did in our bed and they don't love Daddy anymore. Wow. That is harsh, isn't it? But... a sign in Sunderland this week. Please close the gate to keep the seagulls out. Does anybody not tell anyone down that way that they can fly over the fence? And we did laugh at this one in our Three's a Crowd group this week. Tinker, Taylor, Solskjaer, Spy. Very clever. Very clever. Like that. When the stage lighting hits just right and creates the most unfortunate shadow of all time on national TV. And I've just heard that Bilbo Baggins died of a Viagra overdose. I guess old hobbits die hard. Got another tattoo of the week, Aston Villa and Rangers tattoo. I'll never understand, even though they're completely different leagues and, Scotland and England, I'll never understand why people do that. I really won't. And Southampton revealed a special one-off kit for the Championship playoff final at Wembley. Kieran Maguire putting that one out, which is quite funny. I'd feel sorry for West Ham, but I had a cream egg bounced off the back of my head there about 4 years ago, so fuck them, says GOC 1878. And Scrap VAR, Scrap XG, Scrap Vloggers bring back 90s kits, players with personality, page 3 scandals, and 30-odd screamers from Tony Yeboah. Good idea. Tottenham Hotspur are bringing out their video for the season, or DVD. It's the best bits. It's only a minute long. And Temu Hidgate this week. Outdoor lighting from Temu. And we'll finish with this one. An Arsenal fan bought his hotel room in Budapest for the European Champions League final last summer at 10% of the current price. Very smart move. He, however, posted his full name and reservation number on X, so a Tottenham fan has called the hotel and cancelled the booking. Fantastic.
Elite pettiness.
It is. If you've got any tweets, send them to Ted at Ted the Mackham, to me at Steve Wraith, or to Rai at Invictus, and we'll get the cat out next time.
Yes, I suppose time to talk a little bit of Sunderland, mate. I know it's that time. We had to do it at some point. I enjoyed the game against Man United, to be honest with you. I thought we looked a hell of a lot better than what we had done in previous weeks. We actually bossed the majority of the game as well. I spoke to a couple of Man United fans after it who kind of thought, if we were a bit more deadly in front of goal, that would have been a case of all 3 points and no argument about it either. So I guess, something that needs to be addressed in our summer window is somebody to help out Brian Brobby, assuming that he stays, of course, with Bayern Munich apparently sniffing around a little bit. But overall performance, I think ending the season strongly is important, especially after we had that little wobble. You get a few murmurs from the stands thinking, is Regis Lebris just a one-trick pony and all that sort of thing? Well, of course he isn't. He's a seriously good manager. And happy to see him actually get nominated for Manager of the Season as well for the Premier League. I don't believe for a minute that he'll win it. I think there's definitely some performers that have done a little better than what Regis has, but at the same time, I think it's massive recognition for the guy and very, very well deserved that he's in with the shout of getting it. Looking forward. Going away to Everton, it's never an easy thing. In terms of injuries, we're looking at actually all right. The Dan Ballard ban didn't get turned over, so unfortunately that's him gone for the rest of the season. So I think the back four pretty much will stay the same as what it has done. This is, for me, Steve, the next 2 games is all about sorting out who's going to be there next season. And I hate to say it, but I love Luke O'Nien to bits as a person, as a guy to have around the club. I think he's a fantastic servant of the club, been with us through probably the leanest years of our history, let's face it. But when it comes down to it, he's not a Premier League quality player. And it's players like that we might have to move on. There's emotional decisions to be made. The likes of Anthony Patterson, who dropped a little bit of a clanger against Hull City as well, and just shows, for all I believe he's a really, really good Championship keeper, I think the step up to Premier League will be a bit too big for him. So there's players who we've loved, enjoyed, who are responsible for getting us back into the Premier League. You look at the likes of Dan Neil, who's now left the club. It's tough, isn't it, Steve? It tugs on the heartstrings a bit, but in order to take those next steps and become, a fixture of the Premier League for years to come, you've kind of got to do that. And surely Newcastle probably went through the same kind of thing where they had to say some difficult goodbyes. Yeah,
I mean, Sunderland's got a big summer ahead, just as Newcastle have. I think Dave's just made the point in the chat. You've got players now who are on everyone's radar. Certainly a goalkeeper and Robbie, two players that have stood out for me at Sunderland this season. Will certainly got people looking at them. Grant Xhaka is, as I keep saying, has been your player of the season, probably one of the buys of the season in the Premier League as far as bargains concerned. But he's another year older next year. Injuries and father time will catch up with him. And, he's going to need to be replaced. You've certainly got to start looking at replacing him moving forward. And tactically, Lebris is as cool as a cucumber, isn't he? But, he's been a bit frustrated in recent weeks when things haven't been going quite according to plan. So, yeah, it's the second season. The second season is going to be a tougher season for Sunderland. Who the buy, what the buy, and what the let go is going to be very interesting. Chris Rigg, of course, massively linked with Newcastle before he went to Sunderland and still linked with Newcastle to this day is, on the games that I've seen is, not really delivered at the Premier League level. I think he'd be a cracking championship player, but, is he Premier League class? Is he somebody that Sunderland might partner with in the summer and, maybe he might go out the exit door. But yeah, it's an intriguing summer for Sunderland, and yeah, it'll be interesting to see if anybody tests their reserves on some of those players that I've mentioned. I think the goalkeeper is the biggest worry for you. I think if he goes, I think replacing him, it's so difficult to replace a goalkeeper. It's almost as hard to replace a goalkeeper now as it is to replace a striker. But yeah, I think Sunderland have got options up front still. Robbie, Isidore. They've got players who in the end there is it they can put the ball in the back of the net. That's the difference, and and can play together. And they won't have found anything in the Premier League that's frightened them this season. Really, that's the key. But they need to, they will need to box it clever. And again, no financial issues again for Sunderland this year, so they could go out and do big business again, without any issues. But they have to balance the squad cost ratio now, like everybody else. So it will be interesting. But yeah, big summer ahead for Sunderland. What do you want to see? What do you want to see at Sunderland? What do you want to see come in? Is there a position that you'd say you want to improve that for next season?
I honestly think we need to go get a pair of wingers. I think we need. I think it's probably 5 signings, Steve. 2 wingers. I think we need a centre forward, another centre mid for the bit of competition, like you say, because Xhaka, he ain't going to play full seasons for us. I didn't realise it's actually a 3-year contract we bought him on, so he's actually got another 2 seasons left after this season. But like you say, you would have thought that game time would get less and less if he stays the duration of the contract, of course. For me, the goalkeeper situation, I'm not as worried as probably what some Sunderland fans are. There's talk that Robin Roos is now caught the attention of Bayern Munich, and that makes sense because obviously Neuer's now 40-year-old. He's signed an extension to kind of be there and help them out while they look for a replacement for him. Roos obviously plays out with his feet. His distribution's good. He would really tick all the boxes for Bayern Munich. He would. However, having said that, we've got Matty Young, who's spent a couple of seasons out on loan now. Everybody you talk to who watches this kid's going, he's a future England number 1. And that was from your own Steve Watson as well, as we talked about many a times back in the radio days. So I'm not massively worried. I think we've got somebody in the wings who can actually come in and start and do a job. Young's been absolutely tremendous this season. I know, obviously, it's Salford, it's League 2, but the kid's just coming on leaps and bounds. And when you find people saying he's better than what Jordan Pickford was at that age, then that's serious plaudits. I wouldn't also rule out, on the flip side of that, and believing in young players, and of course we do. That's the club's philosophy. At the same time, don't rule out a move for Jordan Pickford to come and see out the rest of his career at Sunderland, because I honestly think that could happen, especially if we get the right level of money for Robin Roos. To bring Matty Young back as your number 2 and have Jordan Pickford in as your number 1 for a couple of seasons, That would make a lot of sense as well. So there's options there for the goalkeeper position. I'm not massively worried. I think wingers, like I say, is where it needs to happen. You know, I don't think we create enough. I don't think we get enough crosses into the box. You know, we need somebody who can deliver quality balls in there. Obviously, we've been knackered with injuries as well. The likes of Mundell, obviously long term. Traore is only just back in the squad this weekend, and that was only a 1-year contract, so he'll probably be headed out the door as well. Angulo also got injured, and Tabi as well also got injured. So we've been knackered with them. We'll obviously wait and see what happens with them in the last couple of games. But yeah, the wingers situation is definitely that. Finally, yeah, I think we need to go out. I would personally like us to go and dip into the Championship and go and get Jay Stansfield and go and get him to play off Robbie. I honestly think we'd look so much better with two up front. Whether you go for like a 3-5-2 or that kind of formation, I don't know how it would work. But I think we need to have a bit like what was with Kevin Phillips and Niall Quinn, where basically Kevin Phillips' whole job that Peter Reid ever told him to do is don't stand any further than 10 metres away from Niall Quinn. And I think that's where we'll get a lot of goals next season, is by somebody just sniffing around for chances and feeding off that hold-up play that Brian Brobby is so good, to be honest. I heard Anthony Gordon linked to Sunderland after his comments post-match. I don't think that would happen. I honestly don't know. We're too big a club for him. He wouldn't last. Yeah, looking forward to tomorrow, though. Everton, a great relationship with Everton Football Club. It's what would have been Bradley Lowry's 15th birthday as well. Quite an emotionally charged game. Everton Football Club, just brilliant as ever, inviting Bradley Lowry's family down for the game as well. They're just a good set of fans. They're just a good family club, Everton. There's always been a good mutual respect there. However, we've got to go and do the business on the pitch as well. And sentiment aside, we've got to finish strong, because unbelievably, we've got an opportunity to finish above Newcastle as well as beating them in 2 derbies. I'm not poking fun at you or anything like that. Nobody ever thought that was going to be possible at the start of the season. So we need to build those points up. I personally, we've still got a sniff of Europe. I think it's a terrible idea. I read an interview with Ali McCoist saying, I don't think it's the right thing for Sunderland to go into European leagues and all that kind of thing. I agree 100%. The squad's too small. It would absolutely knacker the players. But let's give it a go anyway. Let's just see how high we can finish. And let's go and take the game like what we did in the FA Cup to them. So I fancy us to turn on a decent performance tomorrow. Winning the game isn't absolutely everything. It's not a must, but I do fancy us, and we may as well get round to the predictions now, Steve, because we're almost at winding up stage. I fancy us to get a 1-1 draw down at, I was going to say Goodison, Hill Dickinson Arena. That trips off the tongue. Okay, so you've got the 1-1. You've got the 1-1. I think you'll get beat down there. I think you'll get beat 2-1. And I think it'll set up for a grand finale for next week, because obviously we're 2 points behind. I don't expect Newcastle not to get a result now tomorrow. I was in a bit of a downer last night, maybe just getting back from holiday. But I felt Newcastle will get beat. But I'm going to change my prediction. I'm going to go for Newcastle win. I'm going to go for a 2-1 win to Newcastle. And I'm going to go for a 2-1 defeat for Sunderland. So it sets up a grand finale next weekend, which, it's the bragging rights, isn't it? The bragging rights of the Northeast. You've got 2 wins in the derby. I don't know. If we can finish above you, it will give us the bragging rights for the summer, I think. But what do you fancy for Newcastle? It's a tough one, mate, because I honestly think West Ham come to this one absolutely turbocharged. But if Newcastle can start the game as well as what they did against Forest, I think they're in trouble. I agree with you, begrudgingly agree with you. I think you're going to edge this 1-2-1, mate, even though I think just West Ham are going to get caught with a sucker.
We've got a video in from Rye, so we'll hear what Rye's got to say.
Good morning to Three's a Crowd. Apologies for not being there today, but family first, as one of our mottos that we have here on the pod. What a week it's been. An absolute mess. Obviously, Middlesbrough losing to Southampton over the 2 legs, but that wasn't going to be the end of it after the spy was caught at our training ground. It's been an absolute mess and an absolute farce from the Southampton side of things. The fan base has been in uproar against Borough fans, thinking that it didn't happen. I mean, all the claims that they've come out with this week has just been truly... I mean, I was saying to the lads that Rob Edwards now looks like a legend compared to Southampton. I'm going to have to land on that one because it's been absolutely ridiculous. I feel sorry for, the fans involved and Hull and everyone that's sort of, related to this. But the matter of the fact is that Southampton chose to spy. They sent an intern or someone, a member of his staff to our training ground and tried to get an advantage. Now, whether that advantage was prevalent or not, it doesn't really matter. They've brought the game into disrepute and they've tried to cheat. Now, the EFL hearing that started yesterday, we know that over the next couple of days they will be sitting down, if not hopefully, expediting the outcome of this, because it's holding up everything, and it's not a game that we can afford to delay at all from next Saturday. Whether Middlesbrough are in it or not, I'm not too phased. The main thing for me is that Southampton are punished, and I don't care if Southampton are in the final or not. The main thing for me is that they're punished, and that the punishment is enough to warrant, enough to scare off other teams from doing it. If everyone, seems to be coming out saying, "Oh, but it's so prevalent, every team spies on it." Well, not in England, not in our beautiful game. So if it is something that people are doing, then the punishment from the EFL needs to be large enough that it's going to scare off anyone else from doing it. And I hope that they go down that path, because it's a joke and you can't be doing it. And I'm not sure if Middlesbrough will be reinstated, but they just need to be punished and they need to be looked at. And it's 100% happened, and it's 100% disgusting to our beautiful game. I hope that we can see an outcome very soon, especially for the Hull City fans that are sitting there waiting. And I hope that we can get an outcome for the best of all parties. I'm not sure you're going to. I don't think you're going to get an outcome that's going to favour either Middlesbrough or Southampton. But at the moment, the way the Southampton fans have reacted, they've become our Coventry teddy boy. It's been absolutely horrid, mate. And I've been fighting. My fingers have been on fire all week on Twitter and everything like that, because we're going to stick up for our clubs at the end of the day, but the base of it and the delusional fact of it is that they cheated. They sent a spy to try and get an advantage of our football team. Whether it made a difference or not, is they did it. It's 100% there in full picture that member of Tonda's backroom staff was there spying on us at training. So whatever will come, will come. The EFL will decide what's fair. We won't have a say in it, as the statement from the club was made yesterday. And it's been a horrid week, from what we thought was our season over to maybe it's not, and this story lives on. And it's one of the most disgraceful stories, I think, to hit the EFL in a long time. And look, I think the EFL needs to put their hand up as well, because if they had have rewritten the laws correctly back in 2019, we would know exactly where we stand right now. So the EFL they've got to take some of the brunt here too. And Southampton, who decided to cheat. Up the Borough, love you all. Sorry I can't be there again. Have a fantastic pod.
Great stuff. Thank you, Rai. And Ted is definitely auditioning for a Bond villain. Jules will finish with two games that don't affect the Northeast, and that is the Scotland game today, the Hearts versus Celtic. Celtic versus Hearts game. What's your feelings on that, Ted, first and foremost? Can Hearts get the point they need at Celtic Park to win the league and be the first team for 40 years to take the title outside of Glasgow?
Let's hope so, mate. There's always been a good relationship between Hearts and Sunderland as well. We've had a number of decent players from them in the past. We've had some tragic ones as well, mind Derek Ferguson. But yeah, I genuinely hope it's the Jambos, mate. I'm fed up with Celtic. I've never liked them. Jambos all the way for me. Hearts for the win, 100%.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to go for the draw, so that would mean that Hearts would win the title. And the cup final, Manchester City versus Chelsea. Man City failed to win the FA Cup the last couple of times they've been in the final. But up against the Chelsea team, which of course has been through the mill with Leroy Rossenoir, as Ryan would say. But yeah, this is all set for a Man City win, isn't it?
Do you know what? It's the FA Cup, mate. It's the FA Cup final. I actually think Celtic. I think Chelsea are going to do this, and not just because of Jacob, who I know is watching this show anyway. But I genuinely think Chelsea are going to upset Man City today, and it could be a case where Man City get absolutely nothing out of this season, or certainly nothing like what they would expect. Chelsea,
the League Cup, they got, of course. The League Cup, didn't
they? Anyone can win that.
Not you in 1985.
I knew it was coming back with a forehand.
Great show today. Let's hope Rise Misses is on the mend, and we'll be back when we can be. I need to check my diary. I know I've got a few things on over the next week, but we'll definitely be having a season review. And I think Ryan mentioned last week we're going to go on through the summer. So Three's a Crowd will be looking at the World Cup, looking at transfer rumours, and having a bit of banter. So look forward to that. But Ted, we did it, mate. We got over. Went into extra time as well, mate. So have a good weekend.
You too, buddy. Take care, everyone.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Three's a Crowd podcast will return. That's not a threat. It's a promise.